Hello, and my name is Sirpa Pietikainen. I'm member of the European Parliament from EPP in Finland. And the reason why I'm so interested about gene therapies is the big promise it gives to hundred thousands of people all over the Europe and globally. What I have heard being said is that today's medicine is pretty vulgar compared to the future, what we can do in the future. What that then actually means is that we are a bit trying to chase the fly with the axe. Yes, you hit, and sometimes you hit right, but you do a lot of damage at the same time. And if you mistakenly miss it, you do a lot of damage anytime. And then gene therapies and understanding gene technology is fine-tuning this very vulgar methodology of trying to treat diseases and doing too little, too roughly, and too late. It's understanding how our bodies and the human being functions, and then already early on fixing those pieces. So chasing the fly with the fly bat, the small thing that you can flip on your window without breaking it. And the more I hear about the gene therapies, the more excited I am with severe conditions, with that kind of diseases that are easy to cure when early detected, but then later hard or quite often impossible to detect. All those rare diseases that besides of all the pain and worry they causes for human beings and suffering are extremely costly for society. And in rare diseases, I've seen a figure that we roughly spend 5 million euros per patient before the effective treatment is, before the diagnosed effective treatment and the process is put on the place. Think of if you put that 5 million in advance in gene scanning, gene therapies, gene understanding, and the development of that kind of treatment processes and medication that can prevent and treat those diseases early on. The development in the medicine and especially in gene understanding is so vast and so fast in pace, it's very hard to keep up with it. And the differences inside there. And for example, it is not only rare diseases. In diabetes, that is quite common disease actually. We think that first it is one disease, and then for a long time we talked about type 1 and type 2. And accordingly to newest knowledge, it is only the symptom of problems of regulating blood sugar. And actually, it is 14 different types of diseases on background. And then you need to understand those diseases and the genotypes there to effectively treat and prevent the outcomes. And to understand as a politician what happens, what are the possibilities, how much money you have to put on the research, we need this kind of an events where we discuss with industries, with science, with commission representation, and among ourselves, politicians and decision makers, how best we can ensure that the life is better for future generation. How can we ensure that the Europe is in forefront on benefiting the newest gene therapies and knowledge? How we put enough money in research? And how, and this is my favorite, can we ensure that those treatment and knowledge is fastly implemented in all of the European member states? And this cannot be only on the level of member states and their budgets and interests and preferences. This needs to be a European politics and a core element of the newest EU for Health Union. With these words, dear friends, I would like to welcome you to this our event. And next, I would like to pass the floor to our other speakers. And we'll start with welcoming remarks by Europe, EUCOPE Europe, and then expert presentations. On my behalf only, I would like to encourage you to submit questions on the chat anytime. I'll do it myself. This is not always easy to understand, and understanding something quite often leads to another step and another question. So please, let's benefit from our specialists by this kind of vivid discussions also. And then, of course, you can raise your hands for Q&A session. Of course, this is not only for MEPs, but it is for us who do actually the concrete work quite often in our offices. So please do not hesitate to chat and to raise your hands and participate. Once again, wholeheartedly welcome, and now I shut my mouth and open my ears and start listening our specialists.
Perfect. Thanks so much. And first of all, let me begin by thanking MEP Pietikainen and Kympouropoulos for hosting today's meeting. I think it's, as you said really well, and Pietikainen there. This is we're really, I think, at a precipice, at a kind of an opportunity to look at what the future of healthcare can look like. And I think today's discussion, where we look at screening and newborn screening, particularly when it comes to conversations around making sure we get access right and access at the appropriate time, is incredibly important, especially when we're looking at rare diseases where often they're genetic and we need to get in as early as possible. And the theme of making sure we diagnose them as early as possible is key. And again, I think today's couldn't be a better day, as the Commission published some scientific guidance on cancer screening as well. So I think we're kind of, this is the time to start thinking about these questions. And I think especially important in these conversations is asking when, how, and which conditions we should be screening for, and how, and again, when that's appropriate. And I think some of our speakers today will be talking to that. But I think at the end of the day, it might be also interesting to reflect on what we can do here at European level. MEP Pietikainen, you just said, not just at member state level. So indeed, let's reflect on what we can do at a European level today as well, and how we can support member states, how we can support the communities on the ground, and look at what we can do here, whether that be something along the lines of guidelines or something more. So again, I just want to say I'm looking forward to today's conversation, and perhaps best for the true experts to take the floor, but obviously as representative of EUCOPE and kind of the industry here as well, happy to take any questions as well as those come up from our perspective.
So, concluding this very fruitful and informative discussion, I would like also to thank you from my point. I think that there's no need to highlight the importance of the early access to a treatment and how its outcome grows when less damage has been done to the patient. It is heard this statement many times during this event, and this is something indisputable among every stakeholder. Early access, easy access, yes, common regulation. I don't know how can we formulate this this kind of framework, but I think that we can stick on the words of Madam President, Commissioner President Ursula von der Leyen, that she said that we want European Union health. So I need to work on that, and we can create and fight towards the idea of having something common on the health systems. But I think that we have also to try to something else. We need to work hand to hand in order to bring newborn screening, and after that, the treatment, it will be more achievable. From my point, and with other MEPs, we have drafted quite a couple of questions to the Commission, asking to create asking to bring a good revision of the orphan medical products regulation, and to create the common framework to create the common framework in the legislation in order to have a mandatory way in the implementation of newborn screening. Before closing, I would like to add one more crucial view to the well-being of patients. Cell and gene therapies undoubtedly offer a better health, and most of the times a prolongation of life, as it has been said. But this is not enough for a person to have a decent quality of life. I'm also a citizen who has a rare disease. I'm SMA patient, but I don't like to have a life only looking for a treatment. We should not ignore the fact that we are talking about treatments and not about cures. Some of these treatments are lifelong, and usually the treated persons remain disabled. These patients definitely need a network of services for them to be equally included in social life, and their families will require a very strong support after a devastating newborn screening and early intervention so that the infant will not be abandoned. It is important that these treatments will be harmonized with every other aspect of a person's life. This is a very important message for myself, because it's very important, the treatment, but if I don't have my personal assistant, I would not be able to be here in the European Parliament to raise my voice and ask and discuss whatever we are discussing at the moment. Thank you very, very much for this opportunity. And I think that some messages were delivered by our event.